gentlemen, welcome back to the MaxBet Podcast, a podcast dedicated to gaming.
We're your hosts. I'm here with Landon Michael Jones, and I'm Mike McKiskey. Let's get started.
Let's roll. Yo, I'm ready, dog. What's up?
Let's do this. What's up, man?
Not a lot.
No,
Just
something. You got like a broken face. What happened there? You're just walking in. I haven't seen you in like a week, and all of a sudden it's
started. Yeah, I do have a broken face.
It's the elephant in the room. Okay, so
you know when you go to like your neighborhood pool or maybe like a water park, and on the sidewalk before you get in the pool it says no diving.
Yeah.
I need one of those printed at my house because I dove into my pool and my face met the staircase before my hands.
That's lucky, man. I knew, so when I was younger.
It's lucky that I smashed my face.
It's lucky that you only smashed your face.
Yeah.
So I know there was a guy, there's a friend of my parents. I don't know. I mean, I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
But he did that. He dove into a pool and he broke his neck. Like he he survived it, but he had like, I think he lost function in his legs. Like it was bad. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and there's a lot of stories of people like that go, oh man, right? Like you dove in the pool the wrong way. So
yeah, I just went a little too far and eyes were closed and staircase was there.
Eyes are closed. Okay, open those up, man. Otherwise, you run into the
chlorine,
stairs.
man.
Yeah.
Fuck your eyes.
Debatable.
Anyways.
Debatable.
How was your weekend?
Immediately better than yours. Nothing. That's good, man. Just cranking right along. It's a summer, so we're just, it's back to school season. So it's like everything's getting geared up for that. And yeah, man. I'm just
busy.
Yeah. That's
G2E's at Combo's here.
I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see. I mean, obviously, we're going to be showing some new cool stuff. Yeah. But I think then I'm excited to see what everybody else shows. Like, everybody saves it. Like, so everybody's been working all year, right, since last year to go, well, let's do some new stuff. So I'll be interested to see what kind of tech is out there, whether it's AI or just new fun innovations for land-based or who knows.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we're talking about the same stuff we were talking about last year or if we're actually moving forward and getting approvals that we need to
I was going to say there's probably two camps usually. So like G2E, a lot of times you'll show, I don't know what the ratio is for everybody, but you'll show some portion of like, you can buy this today.
Yep.
Some portion of, you could probably buy this in the next 6 months. And then some portion of, I don't know, man, it's future. Like, somewhere in the life of your future, you can buy it. So
what are you looking forward to seeing at G2E? Like, what is something that you want to go look at? That maybe you've been
before you
in
qualified the rest of that question, I was going to say all the customers I don't see, right? Because it's like I haven't been on the road as much in the new role, so I'm like, it'd be good to just see everybody. I don't know. I mean, just being tables guy, it's like there's always some innovations there. I mean, there's a lot of people playing in kind of the adjacencies to tables or like little things on the table that they may do. So just seeing what they're doing, how many different ways you have to innovate with a deck of cards and a piece of felt. Yeah,
it's getting slimmer and slimmer by the day. It seems like new card games are just few and far between anymore, right? It's now it's about making the games we have better, in my opinion.
To some degree. I think there's also the element of we try a ton, but the tried and true are the tried and true. I mean, you look at 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas, some of these games, Let It Ride, Blackjack with like Royal Match, and like these games have been around for a long time, and it's what players want. And then you give them something new, and sometimes like, I don't know, I like my game.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's not that you can't innovate, because you can, and we've seen, like 3-Card Sabotage, to your point, maybe it's a play on an existing game. That does pretty well.
Yep.
But like, to just come out and go, this is like Landon's loot, and we're doing it, like, that's just going to be, it's not saying it's impossible, it's just hard, right? Because it seems to be like a quarter turn away from normal, not like a complete
even when you do have a game that's successful and at one property, say a game is successful at one property, but it hasn't scaled the way that other games have, usually that game ends up dying. You wonder how many games have died. We've talked about this, like how many games have died that never got the proper opportunity to be a successful title.
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe slots and tables.
No one watered the plant. Yeah. Could have been a beautiful tree.
Good enough time, but
makes sense. But you know what's funny about that comment is because our guests today, right? So as we get into, we're talking to Cam and Kelly from SciPlay. This is what they do. Yeah. Like a big factor of what they do is they try new games. They test them in like really rapid fire ways to say, well, hey, that slot game may not be very good, but this one's really good. And maybe going in, they thought the opposite. Or that game would be better if you tweak it slightly. And they're doing a ton of testing. So I'm like excited to geek out with them today a little bit.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know like how how the correlation is between online and brick and mortar, right? Like, if a game is successful online, does that automatically automatically a success in brick and mortar?
Yeah, I'll have to ask them as we get them in.
I hope you did.
That's it. Because we pre-recorded. Yeah, that's right.
And how it's going.
We did. It's I mean, I don't want to steal their thunder, but we talk about that, and it's I think a little bit more proven so far the other way. We say, look, if you have a game, let's just call it Huff and Puff. I pick on that game because I like it, but like you say, that game proven successful in land-based is almost a guarantee it's going to be very popular online.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have enough flow the other way yet, though I think we're starting that direction, right? So that's kind of an interesting topic that we jump into. But what's more exciting, but it's fun with them is that they were, when we recorded, because as you mentioned, we pre-record, they were our half sister and brother, right? Because like SciPlay was kind of owned. We owned the majority, but we didn't own all of them. But then since that announcement, which is nice, in our last earnings call, we announced that we've acquired now as Light and Wonder the whole of SciPlay. So now they're full-blooded brother-sister, so we can have them back and talk in more detail.
Full-blooded brother-sisters.
Yeah, because I mean, there's some elements you can't discuss, right? Like in certain arenas. But now I think we might have more for round 2. Yeah. And Cam has promised round 2, assuming. By the way, if you're listening, some of the wild claims Cam has at the end for his boss, if those don't get him fired, he's back for round 2. So I'll tell you about him. I don't want to spoil it. I want everybody to listen to the end. But as part of his call out, right, he calls out his leader and he says, listen, not only do you have to come on the show, but there's another wild activity you plan to do that we should help him facilitate. So I'm
in. Let's get him back. Because I missed that one real quick.
Yeah, life hit you, man. We went through all your life updates, fatherhood, marriage, everything.
Before, that was the last episode, right?
That's what I'm saying, but that's why. And then it was like, we got to book this, and you had to jump on some stuff personally, and here we are. So.
Little family retreat up in Park City, but another topic because I'm ready to shave my head. It's just growing.
That's right. You got to put your picture on the donation page.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah. But here's my question. We should put a price tag on this palo.
Okay.
That's Spanish for hair, I think.
Palo? I think that's right. It's either ball or, I don't know. No one's going to accuse me of being a native Spanish speaker, so I'll just go with it. I think you're right, though.
But our list is growing, so we're getting some more people involved, and hopefully we can raise the dough. How much did you guys raise last year?
It's roughly 150. I don't know exact number. It might have been 135, 140, but it was over $100,000, which I think was mind blowing. Second overall in the whole U.S.
It's huge.
Yeah, so let's do it.
That's cool. Let's jump into
and then thanks for stealing my seat, by the way. So people are looking at this going, hey, you're in the Light and Wonder Studios, but you're backwards.
I think I'm going to start sitting on this side. This is my better side.
Well, that's only because you completely smashed the other side of your nose. That's all right. We can switch seats. I'm flexible that way.
Sweet. We got to switch these big headphones now. These don't fit my baby head.
The elephant headphones will come this way. All right, let's get to it. Cam and Kelly, let's do it. Awesome. Well, welcome back to the MaxBet Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. So I teased it in the intro, but I'll say it anyway. So we're here with Cameron Stewart, who's the Group Vice President, U.S. Games for SciPlay, and Kelly Trask, who's the Director of Slot Strategy and Performance, also for SciPlay. Yeah. Sounds like some pretty fancy people I have in front of me, but I'm hoping we'll just start with a simple boy from Texas here. So thanks for coming all the way to from Austin to sit and hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an easy flight, and you gotta love Vegas. So.
Yeah, and Landon ruined your thunder, I feel like, because he had some life stuff. We talked about his new baby and all that, so he couldn't make it with us, but you architected a hair joke on his behalf?
I did. I had a hair joke. I thought about it on the flight. I just don't understand how he gets it up so high. And then when you put this thing on, he still finds a way to do it. So do you guys do his hair after he puts the headset on?
That's every now and again he fluffs it. It's a pretty raging conversation for him though, because there's days he'll be like, I just got a hat on because I don't want the headphones to mess my hat up or the hair up and stuff. No, but he'll tell you he's got this tub of, I don't know, goo of like pomade or whatever he uses, and it's the same thing he's had for like 10 years, and he goes, it costs like $6. So it's counter to what you think. Like you go, that's $1 million haircut. But reality is it's like a $7 tub of goo. Maybe it's $1 million haircut.
Yeah. See, that'd be my question for him now. Like, I want to know where he gets his haircut.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we can shout that out. We know where he goes. So he goes to the Garrison, which is downtown here. Elliot's a good dude. He owns it. He also cuts all the UFC fighters' hair.
Okay.
I told Landon, I said, I think you're trying to just like get tougher by hanging out with the barber that cuts all the UFC hair. But All good. But I digress. So anyway, like I said, thanks for joining us. Yeah. I'm actually interested in this because even though I work at Light & Wonder and there's kind of an interesting sibling relationship with SciPlay, I don't know that I fully understand what you guys do. So do one of you guys want to kick off and go, so what? Maybe I'll start with you, Cam. Yep. What is SciPlay? Like how do we think about that? What do you guys do? What's your business?
So I think, and to be honest, I think I would have answered this differently multiple years ago, but we are a free-to-play games company that is able to use the content from Light & Wonder, and I think that makes us incredibly special in this market. What we were, back in 2012, 2013 sure. when we launched is very different than what we are today. We thought we would just kind of closely put together, casino and digital business and be able to show off what it was like to play on the real floor and what it was like to play, at home sitting on your couch. And I think that's, we still continue to drive that forward, but it's become so much more of that. It's become the analytics, the A/B testing. What works in land is always, certainly correlated, but there's so much differences too. We have this whole meta experience wrapped around that. And what we can do as partners together is just, it's incredible. Part of this today is to talk a little bit more about what we're doing in cross-platform and to be able to kind of tell the audience what we're doing. So
no doubt. Yeah. And cross-platform, I think, is definitely the buzz right now. It's our whole mission, our whole guiding strategy here at Light & Wonder. But so when you said free to play, which is not a word that I was expecting to use. I was expecting to hear the word social. Is that different? Is a free to play experience and a social experience, those now, should I think about those differently?
They're honestly the same thing. Okay, but I think when people ask, social casino, they're like, well, does that mean you're playing with your friends? Does that mean you're, sharing gifts between each other? I think there was a time where, and some of our competitors still do that to this day, and they're very successful in doing that. But our games are different, right? Our players are coming for the land-based casino games, and they enjoy that experience to be played by themselves. And so, yes, we are social casino, but I think that word can sometimes
it's misleading.
Confuse. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, makes sense. And so then I'm curious, and Kelly, maybe I'll ask you because I think you're the numbers guru a little bit behind the scenes. So, how popular is this? I mean, obviously you guys are a big business and you're doing well, but give us some context, how many people are playing these games? And I know you have multiple games we'll ask about in a second, but what's the scale of this type of business?
Well, I think for any of our games, it's a little bit different. Mm-hmm. We certainly have a range of games in our portfolio that have a higher DAU and some games.
And DAU, sorry, just talk to me like I'm 5.
Daily average user.
Okay,
right?
daily.
So people coming into the game every day, spinning on slots.
Got it. So this is people that log in. So if you log in, then you count as one DAU. Got it. Okay, got it.
Yeah. I mean, it's bigger than people think, right?
Yeah.
And I think my experience in coming from the land-based world and then kind of transitioning into social, the biggest advantage that you have is data.
Yeah,
because and you probably can relate to this, we wonder on the land-based side, what do players really want? How many players are really coming in and spending on that? Or how much money are they investing in that? In the social world, you track all of that.
Everything.
And so when we talk about hundreds of thousands of players coming through these platforms every day, that's multiple pieces of data per player that we're collecting and then evaluating and figuring out how we do our business better based on that.
Hundreds of thousands is a bigger number than I would have expected, right? Because I was going to be like, what, you got 20, 30,000? You're like, so no, it's hundreds per day. Yeah.
Across all of our games, we're about 2.5 million monthly active users.
Monthly,
and so, yep. Well, actually, DAU is about 2.5, MAU is about 5 million.
Wow.
And so with our other hyper casual business, Elictus as well, we're get up to almost about 30 million.
30 minutes. So not now because I'm curious, what does that mean? So when you say hyper casual, so how does that differentiate? Because I think what I'm understanding about SciPlay, and we'll kind of tease more out as we go, is that this is an app that's casino-like.
Yep.
Slot content. You said meta, which I'm going to break into here in a second as well. Yep. But it's a little bit more common knowledge of what we're doing. But when you say hyper casual, I have no idea what you mean.
Yeah. So we actually bought a company about a year and a half ago now called Elictus. They do more hyper casual games, which is kind of your ad-based experience. So you can get more time on the app by watching an ad.
Got it. Yeah.
And so those games are highly, highly engaging for a larger majority.
Yep.
Whereas casino games, we still have, again, almost 5 million players, but they are far more kind of engaging for the casino slot players, so they're a little bit more niche.
Got it. And so, but on the casino style games, can I watch an ad and get stuff, or no? That would put me in a separate category with this hyper casual.
Well, in some games, some of our competitors do. Personally, we believe otherwise.
Yeah, let's
in
not.
that. We like to keep our users and our engagement very. We like to stay away from that stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So it's a little more. I feel like that would lend to a little more premium experience.
Yeah,
and if
a little bit more
bogged
authentic.
down by ads, because I do play. I mean, my kids want to download apps all the time. I'm like, I'm not paying for these things because I'm playing some fish solitaire game that they love or something. And I'm like, but it's like, watch an ad, get more gems. And I'm like, all right, I'll watch a 30-second kid-friendly ad because I don't want to invest in it.
Absolutely.
But I trade that because I know this isn't a premium thing. But maybe if it was me, and I'm probably more aligned to the social casino. Going, I'll give you the $5. I don't know what you're asking for, but I'll give you some money on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense. So keep it premium. So I guess thinking about the spend, how much? Like, what is a not typical? What's the craziest number a single account has actually spent? Like, because you say like, it's $100. Like, I can see the packages like on that get offered to me. Hey, for $100, you get like 50 more Angry Birds or whatever. I don't personally engage to that level, but you got people just hammering, hundreds of dollars into the apps to get more casino chips that they can never cash in.
Yeah, I think I would love to answer that, but I'll answer that behind the scenes.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
But like we have most of the Eilers report, and they've got all of our metrics published, and so you can make some guesses at that. But what I will say at the end of the day is people love our games, and we take very, very good care of all of our users, but especially our users that are our VIPs. We have a whole department around that section of users, and we come to Vegas with them. We take them to shows.
Oh, wow, really? Okay, so you're getting a full, you're actually, so that starts to align with how a casino would treat a VIP.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you're a casino, like pick anyone here, like Circa does a lot. So you go to Circa, you VIP, they have rinkside hockey seats at the nights. Like, so you're doing similar things, but for your non-casino.
Yeah, we have people that were in the real money business before, taking care of our users. Most of these players are not only VIPs at Caesars and many other casinos, but they're VIPs in our games as well. So.
That's amazing. So I guess without answering the question, financial, like number to number, you've given me some context to say, A, I would never be a VIP for you, and B, a VIP would spend enough to warrant a trip to Vegas.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So that's wow, what a world, and never no cash value on the chips. Yeah, that's pretty.
Well,
amazing.
The VIP player also has a host almost, right? Like just as you would see in the casino. So we have an entire VIP experience, a VIP host team that is a direct contact to these players. They can reach out if they have an issue or a question or what have you. Any of the things. Yeah. They have a designated
the slots
contact.
The RTP's lower today. Like we don't touch any of that stuff.
Did you game with my hold today? You jerks. No, but here's a few chips. Right?
Exactly.
Probably. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah. There's times where we rotate our slots out in the game. So what that means is on Mondays and Thursdays, the lobby might look a little bit different. We may pull in some UFLs on Monday and take a couple away on Thursday and add some, huff and puff, etc. And VIP players may ask, hey, I want that game back.
Oh, interesting. So so let's talk about that for a second. So if I come in Monday and I have no Huff and Puff, but I have Ultimate Firelink, is kind of what you mentioned. So that's good. So I play, I'm liking Ultimate Fire. Then you guys make the decision, we're going to take that away for a second. So the game you were playing's gone. We're going to give you something else, Huff and Puff, it sounds like.
Yeah.
What then happens? Do you just cycle it back? Is like Netflix where the movies every 30 days kind of change, but I know Ocean's 11's coming every 60 days? Or is it similar to that? Or what's the methodology? Why do you tease them, I guess, with the ins and outs of their games?
It's kind of similar. I mean, the lobby design gives ourselves a high limit room and kind of variable, I'll say, rooms to place content in. And so a lot of the times those bigger games, they're not gone, right? Yep. They just have moved in the position, just as games move on the casino floor.
Sure.
And so...
So if I'm that VIP player who's giving you a hard time going, hey, Cam, where's my Huff and Puff? And you go, well, it's just on page 5. So it's not necessarily gone. It's just not front and center. Is that kind of the idea?
And also we'll, for special VIPs, like we have different tiers. Like we, of course, will set up a lobby just for them. It's worth it for them. And I think, for sure, if you look at it like real money, I mean, they're constantly always trying to put the best machines here or, the way the carpet flows. And so we do it in a much faster pace. We're doing it, within minutes. We don't have to take it down, put it back
crew
up.
of guys to roll the carpet in and out. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But it's we're constantly using our data to make those decisions. And so, when we see a lot of play on a slot machine, it'll kind of tail off. We'll refresh the lobby and get players back engaged again. And so we're constantly looking at data, making those decisions. It's really what Kelly does all day long.
Yeah, that's my job.
Yeah. So, and even on the notes, you put data. So let's talk data for a second. Actually, hold on. I gotta cash in on something I said I was going to ask you. So the meta, when you say that, and so like when you just kind of casually, because the whole program, you say, oh, we got all this meta. What is that? Because I think most people go, meta used to be Facebook, but that's not what you're talking about, right?
No,
so like meta.
And this is what I love about the Light and Wonder team is like we go through all these acronyms. We go through like the meta, and everybody's always like, wait, stop. Right?
Time out. I don't have any clue what you're talking about.
No, and I love it. And sometimes we live in it, so we just go. Just like we're always like, you guys are talking real money terms, like stop.
Yeah, we'd be guilty of that for sure. Exactly. I was gonna say it works both ways. It's just in this case, I'm the one who needs a little education.
Exactly. So really, the meta is everything else around the slot machine, and so really, when you look at it, you're looking at an experience where I think a lot of individuals just think, oh, well, they're there for the slot machines. Yes, they came to our game for the slots, but they stay for the meta.
Got it.
And the meta is your leveling system. The meta is all the features around the slot machine. So our game teams are really focused on the meta experience more than just the slot machines. The slot machines are what they are. We try and keep them as authentic as possible to the real floor. But that meta is the thing that gets you to do 50 more spins in a day. It's the thing that is going to do X, Y, and Z and get more coins to play more slots. And so really it's this nice loop. If you were to go to the casino, you could almost consider a VIP program as the meta. Because as you're playing the machine, you're getting more points and coming back more often. And so we do that obviously on a mobile and a digital scale. So.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it makes sense. So when you log in, you go, well, the slots are I don't know if you call it the base game, but that's the game.
Right.
And then you say, when I level up, or I get a lot of times I logged in and it's like, oh, here's your daily wheel spin or your treasure chest bonus. So that type of thing is the meta.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so and you've heard, with your kids playing, like you've seen battle passes and stuff like that. We have a lot of those features, and our teams and our director of product and director of monetizations, they're always trying to continue to advance the player in those metrics. So we're constantly pushing things in, pushing things out into the game to really raise our metrics across the portfolio.
Interesting. Yeah, that's is there an example of something recently that just didn't work? Like, I'm assuming you're swinging the bat. I don't know what your batting average is on features, but like,
look, I think I'd be retired or forcefully kicked out of the league if we were keeping track of batting average. But it's one of those things where like the more you have bad ideas, the more you learn.
Well, you suss out the good idea, right? Because maybe a bad idea gets refined 2 times and it's good again.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I would say anywhere from half of your ideas aren't going to work, right?
Yeah.
And it's we've been lucky to have a lot of success and to have, like, the way I always look at it is like you go to a restaurant for its food, but you stay for the ambiance, you stay for the good service, and that's why you're going to continue to come back. And I look at slots as our food to our restaurant.
Interesting.
And so if we don't provide that experience around the food, then we won't be as successful as we possibly can be. So
interesting. Yeah, it makes sense. And then if you have a bad game idea, the ambiance keeps them in. It's like,
that's right.
You go, because like if you're using the restaurant metaphor, sometimes your favorite restaurant still gives you a bad burger. You're like, it wasn't. They didn't have it today.
Yeah, exactly.
But you go, but I'm coming back.
But I'm coming back
for all this
because I got my favorite server.
That's
there,
right. Yeah, and it's the beer was cold or whatever the thing is. Right?
Exactly.
You keep it rolling. Yep. No, that makes sense.
Yep.
Oh man. So then data-wise, so you're saying you're doing all this stuff. Do you mostly then? And I'll point to you a little bit, Kelly. So do you mostly do all this on A/B testing?
For the features, yes. I'll say more than half of our features are definitely A/B tested, if not more than that. On the slot side, it's evolved a lot.
Yeah.
Like, especially over the last couple months, I think with our kind of hyper focus on this cross-platform initiative and kind of what we're doing more with that. A/B testing is kind of becoming a regular part of the slot language where maybe it wasn't as much before. And that's various things, right? That's testing 2 different math models, 2 different ways to trigger a feature, 2 different art packages, those types of things in tests.
So when you're testing, and then I think I'll just give my caveman understanding of A/B testing because I think I'm with you, but just for people listening that are like, hey, man, slow down. A/B testing basically means, let's say Cam and I are logging into the website. We're profiled, maybe we're not VIPs, but let's say we're the same. Right? That you may present a game or a feature one way to me and differently to him just to see which version maybe one of us engages with more. Is that a fair overview?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
For sure. And we'll continue going down that path, right? So when we find things that work, then we'll say, oh, well, it actually didn't work for high-level VIPs, but it did work for non-spenders, right? And so we're always trying to cater to our entire audience. And so the game will evolve based on your behavior. And so, I won't say what machines we actually did, but, we just had a recent Light and Wonder machine that we tested a different math model from land, and we used the land guys to help us come up with a different math model. We tested it, and it was far better than the one that was on the floor today. And so, those are things and how we continue to evolve to be able to have all of us take better shots on goal. And I think as you start to lose tests, win tests, sadly, sometimes you learn more from the ones you lose, but it's also important to learn just as much from the ones that are winning too. And getting that data across both of our partners has it's been critical. Yeah,
it seems like a pretty good way to succeed. So when you said you tested, it sounds like a proven land-based math model, and then you guys had, let's call it the SciPlay version, so let's head-to-head. Your version sounds like it did better. Do we then say, well, let's adopt that for land? Is that kind of the behavior now we're starting to lean into?
And that's where we're going to go. And so, and again, we worked with, hey, if you could take another shot on this on the Light and Wonder side, what would you do? Would you put more RTP on reels 3, 4, and 5? Would you put it here? Would you put it there? And so working together to help solve problems has been amazing. And now, land and social are highly, highly correlated. Like we've never had a machine that just killed it on the floor ever, do poorly on social. Yeah. There's a little bit more like there could have been machines that do poorly on land, and then in our game they actually do well because they engage the user longer, or they're more, so there is a little bit of difference there. But directionally, it's very, very close because, we shared the stat at G2E last year, like 93% of our players visited a casino at least once last year.
That's wild. And how do you know that? You just ask them?
Yeah.
Survey.
So, yeah.
Fun fact. Just take a poll.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is wild. 93% of 5 million active users a month or thereabouts are casino players.
Yeah.
That's pretty...
Absolutely.
Wild. It speaks to the power. I mean, I'm glad we're in this business, I guess. I'm like, as I'm processing this out loud, I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's...
I think it was and then it was 66% of them went multiple times in a year. So it's not even like
casino regulars.
Right. Yeah. Like it's not even like these users are just like visiting once they went to Vegas for a trip. Like these are players that love our games, in real life and on their phone. And so that kind of connects the whole experience. We've talked to thousands and thousands of players, and it's all like, every player has a little bit different of why they play and why they love it, but I think that's the beauty of games.
Yeah.
Everybody should be a little bit different. So
yeah, 100%. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then so we're leaning in on cross-platform. So I think it sounds like some of that's this A/B test idea where you say, look, we can, and is it, am I understanding this right, where you might say, hey, for a new game, we can put it up on social first.
Absolutely.
Let your players beat it up and give us a sense of whether they like it or not, because it sounds like, hey, 93% of them are going to play it on land base anyway.
Absolutely.
And then we make a go, no-go decision on that land base side. That sounds like the first foray into cross-platform,
Absolutely.
How we're leveraging that.
Yeah.
And we're already going down that route, right? Yeah. We have some that weren't planned that way, but now we're heading that way. Light and Wonder's taking some of ours, and also vice versa. We're continuing to take Light and Wonder content, and it's like this beautiful partnership that, what I can say publicly is
sorry to make you dance around.
But we are highly investing back into that, and so we know that, like, again, we need to take better shots on goal, and this is how, even 2 years ago when this kind of whole cross-platform thing came up, I think people weren't all bought in, and now you have Kelly and the designers, like, they're just trying to vie, like, give me more data, like, I want to test this, and I want to test this, and it's a fight for who's going to get live
who can
first.
test fast enough. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I think the interesting part that Cam touched on too is, for the first time, and we're now actually seeing SciPlay, I'll say social slot games, come back into the real land-based world.
So these are games you guys created purely on your own that are successful in your world that we're now adopting back to a land-based solution.
Yeah, right? It's market monitoring. We're seeing what everyone's doing, either that on the land-based side, on the iGaming side, on the social side, finding those unique concepts that we can iterate on or make better versions of, and then we develop those in-house, and then the team here at Light and Wonder is like, oh, I like that idea. Like, I see a spot for that in our portfolio. Let's kind of bring that back. And so there's a little bit of the element of social first alongside that A/B testing. But it's definitely, our pillars are social first, A/B testing, player engagement, which I think we touched on a little bit, which is where these surveys come into play. Cam threw out the stat of players playing in the casino. But that's not all we can ask players, right? We can ask them, what art style do they like to play? What's their favorite mechanic? What kind of brands do they like to play from the casino? Or what if we mash this with this? How would you feel about that? And so that player voice element into the strategy of portfolio planning makes us do everything else better.
That's interesting.
And I make a joke about Matt all the time, like, I swear every week he's texting me like #better together, right?
Matt, our corporate CEO, Matt Wilson. Yeah, shout out.
And it's like, #better together. I'm like, dude, you just have that like automatically send once a week, right?
Yeah, that's right. What we can say about Matt is he lives the values, right?
He does.
So win as a team it's
he does.
No one can say that's wrong
That's
about
right.
him. Yeah, that's funny. So I'm glad that you're getting those. Yeah, I get different texts. I must be in a world of pain in my world. That's okay.
What's your automated hashtag?
It's like pick it up, slacker. Yeah, no, it's the other way. It's more motivational in a football kind of way. No, it's all good. Love it here. And so. Yeah, that's wild. So, okay, so as we build upon cross-platform, right, so better together, so it sounds like in one regard, it's a more efficient use of certainly funding, right? Because it's like, hey, we don't invest, and I don't know exactly what it costs to build a game, but you save some of that because I'm assuming you deploy the games for a less expensive investment to put them on social. How much time are we saving? I'm assuming it's also a pretty efficient use of time as well, because you mentioned earlier, like, we could do something in minutes, right? Maybe it's not minutes for a game, but like what kind of...
Yeah, It's tough, right? Because, in land, you guys have your way of, doing a machine very quickly if you're trying to, fast follow or something like that. But, in our, like, in a typical dev environment, I mean, it takes us about, from ideation to actually getting it live in a casino, it's about 6 months.
Okay.
So comparing that to land, which is probably more closer to 12 to 18.
Yeah, 12 to 18 is pretty
But the
typical.
problem is that we're both taking those dev cycles, right? And I think... I know Victor's got this great thought to get to, we're doing it on 3 platforms, digital, social, and real money. And so if we can continue to use each other to help create not only the development effort, but the learnings from that, I mean, we're saving so much time rather than always just, I would call them educated guesses.
Sure.
But we can use data to just help us make better educated guesses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it makes sense and faster. So it's like, for me, it's just completely seems like a smart decision. I'm glad we're doing that.
Right. And if we have like, there's been great, every year we do a best games workshop and we have SciPlay, digital, and land all together. I mean, we've had a great time at those.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it's been, there's so many great ideas from the 3 companies, right? And it's like that coming together has just been so amazing, and there's all these cool ideas, and it's like, hey, we'll test that, we'll take it on social first, and they may be more wacky ideas sometimes, but those things have worked, right?
Yeah.
And we'll invest in them on land too. So
I've noticed I think working with the creative guys though, sometimes you just have to let all the ideas come out, right? Because you're going to go, that's insane. Right. But then you go, but that had to get out of the way so that the one next could come out, right? Like, so yeah, those brainstorming sessions are definitely interesting.
And it's great.
Yeah.
And it's great at those too, because we've got all the time during the day, but usually some of the best ideas come out during at night.
Well, yeah, because when you're playing, right? Because there's only so much you can come up with in a conference room setting.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not really promoting anyone's idea of creativity, but then when you're just having a drink maybe and playing the games on the floor, you go, wouldn't it be cool if it did this? You're like, yeah, it would be cool. Then the math guy happened to be standing next to you going, I can make that. I can make the math work. It's like, oh.
That's exactly how
solved
it happens.
it. Yeah, yeah.
And after those sessions, it's like, okay, you break out into groups. You're going to play these, we're going to play these, and everyone's going to go away and do their thing. And then it's like, oh, I really like that. What if we did this instead? And then everyone's like, wait, get out a piece of paper and a pen and your phones, and people start writing ideas down. And then you see those at the next pitch day. It's funny how pitch day has evolved too, because the last pitch day that we had, I was kind of sitting near the front, and there were some ideas that were going out, and they're like, oh, unsure of some of the ideas. So I'm like, we can ask players that. Let's bring that to social.
What's what I was going to ask you when you were talking about surveys, like how often are you doing that? I mean, because you could probably ask them whatever you want, right? I mean, there's no rule. I mean, you may turn them off a certain question, but like generally you say, we can ask whatever you want. Are they readily engaging with you? Like, we love this so much, we want to help you? Is it like, hey, I'm making up 1 million free chips or something, and that could be high or low, but like giving some number and they're incentivized to do it? Is it both? Like, how is the survey, and then how often you hit them? Because it seems like if you have that access, I'd be asking them questions every day. They'd be like, Mike, shut up, dude. I'm like, so I'm sure there's a line to walk. Like, what's your cadence?
Well, that kind of goes back to, I'll say, the data piece too.
Yeah.
Depending on what the question is, there may be a specific player segment that's better off to answer some of those questions.
So you're only going to ask these 5,000 players versus all of the millions of people that are tuning in.
Because they're so particular in the thing that we need to know.
You're trying to solve for it,
and so volume of surveys probably make less, I care less about, because it's going to hit different people.
Got it.
I will say, over the last couple months, we've done a lot of them.
Pretty good blast,
Yeah, but you know what? It's all good, and it's helping us get better, and it's helping us be informed, and some of the results that we're seeing are clear as day. Like, A wins against B by a long shot, right? And that was a decision that we were toying with, and it's like, all right, well,
there we go.
And we're really, and we're really looking at like the crazy results there, right? If it's 51% versus 49%, we're probably not making a strong decision on that. We're talking like the 70-30s, 80-20s.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy that like even all of us in a room, as we've gone through this for years and years and years, it's crazy that we're like, I'm not really sure. And then you see the survey results, it was like, well, duh.
Can't believe we even argued this.
Right, exactly.
Right. How obvious should this have been?
Yeah, and then there's always like side bets. It's like, I told you guys.
In the office.
That's my second job, basically, just making side bets.
Just gambling with your coworkers. My A/B test is going to win.
I am guilty of that. After we put out a survey, as soon as it launches to players, I'll go back to whoever generated the idea and say, place your bet.
There's so much.
There's
so much of that. And the money's not even the thing. It's like I knew more than you did.
That's right. Well, it's all bragging rights. I mean, you can bet whatever you want, but it's like, that's.
And then when you lose, you're like, man, I didn't say that.
Clearly, we got the wrong subset of players here, because if you did this audience, right? Problem is, you could do that audience. So that's interesting. So, and then as we think cross-platform, right? So now we're leaning in testing. So what I'm hearing is we're going to have really strong content on both sides, right? So land-based. Do those ever connect to each other? Like, and I don't know if it's through some sort of meta application, or is there a world where I'm a SciPlay player and I'm Huff and Puff's #1, whatever, and then I get some sort of benefit in a casino for playing that? Or how does that ever connect, or does it?
Look, I think they do, right? I think years ago there was sort of a move towards that. We don't need to talk about the name,
That's
but
okay.
Right. But years ago, but it was before its time, and I think. All of us are always brainstorming what that could be, what it could look like. But when you have digital, social, and land, there is no doubt right now it is most important to get the content right.
Sure.
But in the future, absolutely, because these players are the same. So why wouldn't they get credit for playing at home versus playing at the casino?
Yeah.
And I think ultimately it benefits not only us as a company, but the casinos as well, and ultimately the players, which is the most important. So.
Yeah, because I think that would be interesting, especially, again, like maybe more of the meta side. Because I do fall sucker to this. Like I was telling her earlier, I'm like, I want to level up, or you give me some bonus that if I lose this level, I lose my bum. I'm like, here's my $6 or whatever. So now to the point where I can't buy $6 things anymore. Now I'm at 20, like it's only $20 for me. Yep. But so, but I could see that being an interesting thing going, hey, if you play here and you somehow let us know that you did that, we're now you're one level higher. Like you may get a cooler icon on your name or whatever, like an avatar, different things. Like I could see that being cool. I just don't know how you would do it. Like, so I'm grateful I'm not on your side trying to brainstorm it all. But like,
and when you look at the next casino players, coming up, right? Yeah. They grew up with games, right? They grew up with chasing achievements. They grew up, and so I still think we're at the point where it's like focus on content, get the content right across all 3 channels. But soon thereafter, like there is going to be a day where this happens, and we need to be the ones that get there first.
Yeah, no doubt. And then we've been talking so much about content and slots this, slots that, but as the table games guy, I got to give you, like, where's the table? What's going on? Like, is there just tables don't register with social or free-to-play players, or like?
So with table games, again, we have a few competitors. We've even tried it ourselves a little bit. You have to understand, like, we're always questioning, like, okay, how does a player play standing in line at Starbucks? How does a player play sitting on their couch at home? So when you look throughout the day of a user, their sessions are very different, whether it's in the morning, afternoon,
you kind of tell their
night.
behavior. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so we're constantly trying to drive all sessions forward. And so when you look at table games, it's a slower experience, right? It is, for sure. And so, of course, like I will play plenty of table games tonight. I'll be on the blackjack table. I'll be on craps, although craps is a little bit faster sometimes. But it's, if I'm going to spend 4 or 5 hours at the casino, I'm going to go play tables.
Sure.
Unfortunately, it's hard for us to get that 30, 40-minute session out of the user and to, move them forward throughout their progression, to move them forward through the meta, and ultimately to run them through the entire session of eventually, running out of currency. But that really, like, tables are harder in that aspect, as you know, right? And so it's just a longer experience.
It's funny because when you think of it from the initial misconception of social game, like there's nothing more social than table, man. Like right. I'll know Kelly's whole life story at the end of an hour blackjack session. I'm like, it's almost like therapy. She's like, yeah, my husband's an idiot. I'm like, I'm an idiot too. I get it, right? Like you just go through it and then you go, okay, well, hopefully have a good one, right? Congrats, or we're out of here.
Absolutely.
And then you go super social. But to your point, very slow. Like it's a couple, hand them in or whatever the ratio is. So I can get where on social, if you're just trying to bang that button 100 times while you're waiting for your coffee, like.
Absolutely. And so now what I will say is tables have become part of the meta experience. And so we've had plenty of games that have been part of the meta experience, such as blackjack, right? And so you can have although it's not the core driver of the experience, it's something where you're earning, picks at, high or low, or you're earning different things within the meta to drive table games. So we know our players love them. They don't have to be the sole vehicle of that. But I also think, to be honest, like I think we could be more creative on that side. And so that's something that will forever be an opportunity for us.
Sold.
We're
in. Let's get weird at the best games and try to come up with something.
I completely agree.
Yeah, because I think that's where my passion, obviously, over the last year and change. I've always been tables player, right? Yep. And then now to be kind of in charge of tasked with kind of, hey, what do we do here, right? Like and guiding that, I'm going, well, this is the best form. I love this, and it's so simple. Like everybody, even as kids, plays a deck of cards. So like you get the medium.
Well,
right? What do we do with it?
I think you probably agree more than anybody, Mike. Like, walking up to your first table experience is haunting to some.
It's all the feelings. It's exciting, but you're scared. And you're like, and then especially if there's other people, you're going, what are we doing? Right. Like, I don't want to make her mad at me. Like, it's a whole, And 100%.
So if you don't bring these newer players to a digital atmosphere where they can either practice it or feel more comfortable with it, it's critical to get those
100%.
players started on that. I remember first time I ever played craps, like I'm playing on the plane all the way to Vegas, right? And then I still have to walk up with 6 buddies, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this or that. And I mean, for years now.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
She's fired.
Yeah, exactly. Right? That's not a good bet if you didn't know. But now my wife hates me because I play craps all the time.
I was fortunate. I was taught craps back when I was younger by a bunch of Marines, and they were like, so they took over the whole table. They're like, don't worry, you're with us. We're just going to teach you. And I was like, oh, this is great, because I knew everyone. Yeah. And they were super aggressive about it. They knew the game. It was like, so I was like, oh, this is an easy intro. But my personality would much prefer to just sit, play it online or on mobile, and figure that out. But okay, well, selfishly, we might need you to have those games. That's how we're educating the future of the table players.
I'll tell you what. In November, we're gonna mash some ideas.
Good. Let's do it. Yeah, it should be a good time. So you're going to the gamble. You're going to the casino today.
Oh yeah.
So what? So it's good to know you yourself are a gambler. You have any? What's your best gambling story? Do you have a good
Oh man.
wild win? Doesn't even have to be crazy win. It could be ended up playing next to some celebrity. It doesn't matter. I don't want to put the pressure on. But if I just say, what's your best gambling story? What comes to mind?
I would say I will never forget the time I was at the Red Rock in Vegas, and I'll never forget. It was at the beginning of my craps career, I would say. So I'd say this is, I don't know.
I love that it's a career now.
Oh, it's a career
this is
for sure.
It's an invested, thought out journey. Yeah.
I'd say it was almost 8 to 10 years ago, and so. We're at the Red Rock, and I accidentally tossed out a green chip, which I did not mean. I think I was having a few drinks at the time, and I did a 3-2 hop. I meant to play $5 on 3-2 hop, and they closed the bet. Slay's like, you can't take it back.
It's there.
Right?
Yeah.
Boom, $400.
Yeah,
right?
Nice.
And so we're just freaking out, and you're making best friends with these people. You party with these guys all night, and I couldn't tell you who they were, but
that's right.
But they were my best. But
for that hour
those
and
are
a half,
the great
they
stories.
had nicknames.
Right?
They were you were high fiving. Yeah.
I knew everything about them.
That's right.
Yeah.
The old 3-2 hop. You gotta love. That's not a bet I would make usually, but no, I'm glad you hit it.
When I'm on a roll, I'm a 3-2 hop all day long.
Really interesting. Okay, just put a nickname in there somewhere. We'll find out.
Right.
What about you, Kelly? I know you gamble. I don't know if you got any big wins.
Yeah, I'm kind of known as the worst slot player of all time. It's weird.
Awful.
It's weird because I do that for my job,
Yeah.
right?
Casinos
not a
love
bad
her.
slot player. It was my job. Slots was my job, so it's definitely a little contradicting. But I'll say my best slot experience was actually probably on a roulette table. I was at the Cosmopolitan. Again, after a couple drinks, right? I think best stories probably come after a couple
We gamble
drinks.
responsibly, but we're okay. We're playing with money we can afford to lose.
That's right.
I had $200, put on black, you kind of see black,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And got it, hit it.
Oh,
I was
nice.
like, oh shit, right? Now I got 400.
Did you
now I'm
press
gonna
it?
put it back on black.
Yes,
right?
yeah, press it. That's it.
Hit it again, and I'm like, I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna own this place.
Yeah,
right?
a couple more of these, and
Then I get a little too cocky.
Yeah,
right?
that's
And then
typical.
I take the stack and I move it to red, which was the mistake. I should have just stuck with what I knew.
Yeah.
And I lost it all. And that was
Never move it to red.
It's funny. Well, you keep with what started there, but my thing is going. You went from 2 to 4 to 8.
2 to 4 to 8.
Part of me is going, just take back your 2 and then do whatever you want with the
Play
6.
with the house.
Yeah, that's the thing. You want to go red 6? That's have fun.
Yeah.
But this is. I'm also a conservative gambler. If Landon was here, he would be like, never go to bed with money in your pocket unless it's 10 times what you started with. He's got this whole thing. Yeah. So I laugh because we were up once, him and I, and we were just, I can't even remember where we were. Maybe it was Saboba. And so we were doing okay. But we didn't really have any huge wins. We had a couple, and then it was kind of like a couple $100 in my pocket. I'm like, I'm good. He goes, you got money? I go, yeah. I have a few dollars. He goes, we can't go to bed with money. We didn't win. We didn't hit a taxable yet. He was just so in his matter of fact, there's not even a world where I'm going to bed. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And we lost. Yeah. And so I was like, well, now I'm going to bed with nothing, but I guess I have the pride of that.
The guy with the $6 haircut. Yeah,
that's right.
That makes sense.
The $1 million haircut with $6 gel or whatever. I don't know. He'll explain it better later, but how good is that? Oh man. Well, this is fun. Is there anything I forgot to ask you? Anything SciPlay I should be hammering home here at the end? I feel like we cover a lot of good stuff. I'm actually just jealous now that I don't have access to your levels of data. Because part of me is like, man, if we knew all the things you knew, how much different would our world be? But
no, I think the one thing that we would love to get across is how we've been able to completely transition over the years, and so Josh and I talk a lot about this, but back in 2013, if you were a game, you could be an average product at best and have success. Yeah. And I think as 2016 came along, you know, digital marketing started becoming hotter. If you could scale a game, if you had the money, then you could be successful as well. And I think, you know, ever since COVID hit, you know, the entire games industry saw this you know, kind of massive boost from their players because people were locked in their houses. They couldn't do anything but play games. And so, you know, 2024 it completely changed the market, and you kind of saw a lot of companies come off of that riding high phase, and now it's all about live ops and monetization. And if you can't do live ops correctly, if you can't do monetization correctly, you'll fail in this market.
And live ops, just to tie it back together, is a lot of what you talk about with the VIP programs, making sure the customer service. I mean, I don't know that we use that term before, so I want to get it right.
There's pieces of it, yes, but it's more constantly looking at the data, getting things in front of players' faces. Like we have, you know, a lot of what we do through our event system, which is, hey, spin 500 times on this slot and progress in a quest, and then get more coins, credits to enhance your experience. And so we're constantly bringing new things in. We just launched a slot last week, for instance, that we pair with a quest, and the theming goes together with it. Cool. And so we're constantly changing things for different players, and you know, we've got thousands and thousands of different segments of players and how we tune this player and that player. And so if you don't know how to do monetization, live ops in this market, we've seen, you know, our other competitors really struggle during this time because of how competitive it really is. And I think, you know, that was one of the things that over the last 2 years we've really changed our habits, and we're investing continuously more and more and more in that field. So
I think that makes sense. I mean, think about any business you still spend money with. It's probably the one that treats you the best, or to your point, maybe there's more exciting because, like, I'm always up for a good quest, right? So like that type of vibe is exciting. But the fact that it shows you're investing in if I'm the user experience, I'm going to stay with you, right? Because how many apps, I'll tell you, seem like they haven't done anything.
Right.
I play, I'm like, I'll still play, but I'm not spending money anymore, right? Because, like, you know, I hate to say that I spend money on games, but I do. And so it's like, you know, okay. But like, I would imagine if you're like, hey, new thing, new this, and it's just constantly like, oh, wow, you're doing this for me, is what I'll feel like.
Absolutely.
Here's whether it's monetization or just my time, like, here's your counter investment. You have me now with you. So that's,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think we always say too, like, content is king.
Yeah.
Like, we've heard that a lot, and we believe in that, and I think we apply that at SciPlay. Like, over the last couple months, actually probably a year and a half or so, when we look at these big slot releases, these big brands that are on the casino floor from Light & Wonder that players are proven, that we know that they love, we bring that to life. We bring that brand to life in the social version. So as Cam said, like, this slot that we released last week was Locket Link Riches, Eureka Treasure Trade, right? Locket Link brand is huge. Yeah. It's a big one for us. And the monetization team built a whole train that kind of goes through the app and drives and incentivizes bet ups and spins and kind of all of that. So the entire game is then tailored to the brand and bringing that slot to life in a bigger way. Nice.
A week in, is it doing what you hoped?
Oh, yeah.
It's doing
even better.
It's doing better than what we hoped. Like, we're honestly a little surprised by some of the metrics that are coming out of it. And I think, you know, that's the beauty of having all of this data at our fingertips, is we're sharing it back and forth between both companies. Whereas some people may be surprised and say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that, and we may not be putting enough investment into a slot, or maybe we're putting too much investment somewhere else. And so that's the beauty of having hard data, and also, like, a lot of things that Kelly talked about, having the quantitative and qualitative data at our hands. Because if you're not a player yourself, it's so hard to get into their head, to get into how they feel, how they think. And so matching those two things together is critically important. If you're only thinking in quantitative data, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And if you only have qualitative data, you're going to make just as many. So
because a lot of times what I say and what I do don't always align. Yeah, I'd like them to be like, and that's what I'm trying to deceive you. But like, especially in these like surveys, well, would you buy another Ford truck, or are you going to buy something else? I'm like, I'm going to buy a Ford truck, and then I get a great ad, and it's like, well, maybe I'm not going to. Like, you know, like I said I would, but then turns out maybe I didn't.
Or when you see a price of a Raptor, then you're like, I probably won't.
Yeah, maybe that's a little aggressive for me. Yeah, so it's like, but I think that's right. So you can't just trust what I say in those types of things, you know. So.
And so you have the two to counter each other, right? And it's kind of it's a beautiful thing. So
wild.
Yeah. It is.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, now I'm like, I want to go geek out with you behind the scenes on Dana.
Oh, we will.
And so, but we've been going for a fair amount of time. So she knows the last question I'm going to ask, because she's listened, I think, to most every episode we've launched, which thank you for long-time listener, first time on the show. So that's cool. We can always have you back. But so Landon and I always acknowledge, we don't know everybody. That's cool. Like, I didn't know you guys until a year ago. I mean, I knew who you were more, but like, I didn't know you till maybe a year ago. So like, who should we chat with? Who should we put in the hot seat? It can be one or two people if you want to do a duet, but like, who should take your place in a future episode? Give us some leads on.
You know, he'll kill me for saying this, but I would really, I'd love Josh to get on here. I would.
Okay.
Like,
calling out the boss. I like it.
Josh is an incredible, not only for our company, but just for the entire industry of social and mobile games. And I think, you know, Josh would love the opportunity to share his story and how you know, he was started at the janitor of the company, basically.
Wow, yeah.
Like, he's had every single position, and, you know, becoming the CEO today, like, sharing his story is something that I feel like sometimes we're more passionate about it, because like, you got to share more people. And he's like, it's fine. You know? So
he's so humble, it almost hurts him, right? Yeah, that's an interesting. But he's got a big personality. Like, I met him a few times, watched him in a like a stage demo, and I was like, look at this guy. Like, he's got that. I don't know, is cowboy the right way to say it? He's got that vibe, right? So you're going, like, he's got this big energy. Like, I know he would do a good job. So, Josh, we're calling you out, man.
We're calling him out. Absolutely. He's gonna be pissed.
Well, if you still work here, I'll help you.
No. Trust me. No, this is good. This is good for me. Like, everybody's going to be rallying together. Like,
we got, come on, Josh. Yeah, no, it's good. We got all the thousands of side players coming.
Yeah, and I think so. The other thing that we should do live on the show is he was supposed to get a Spark tattoo, which is our logo. And so when we bring him on, I think maybe we could live tattoo.
So it's funny. This could bring a lot of worlds together. I don't know the legality of tattooing in here, but Joey Hamilton, so Ink Master season 3 winner, he tattooed me. I literally just got one a week ago. I get some more work done, and so he said, he goes, yeah, I'll come on the show. Like, let's work it out. But he didn't commit to tattoo on the show. So to be fair, that's a whole different ask. But doesn't
we could do like a pre or post.
We go take him down there, because that's the best studio in town, Revolt. And so to get him clean environment, he tattoos celebrities, so Josh would be in good hands. and then show it off. So wow, Josh, perfect. Cam just signed you up for a hell of a Wednesday, but we're doing a tattoo and an interview, and maybe we'll get some secrets on some SciPlay social stuff.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you guys' time. This has been fun. Thank you very much. And
thanks for
seriously, thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
This is awesome. Seriously.
Cool. Cheers, everybody.
Awesome.